Hello everyone, my name is Jason Decker with Trucking 101. We're here today to speak about going direct with customers and how to make those sales happen. Since we're just a little bit out of my wheelhouse as far as my expertise, wanted to bring in someone that's much better at it than myself. So today we have Matt Sturmitz joining us. Matt, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about you and what you got going on there, bud.
Sure. Been in the industry for about 10 years, Jason. Grew up around trucking. My dad owned a trucking company here locally in Fort Smith, where we're based out of. But as far as industry experience, I've been in the sales piece for about 10 years. Currently, I'm the vice president of sales for General Transportation, and we oversee roughly about $100 million a year in freight spend.
Awesome. That's moving a lot of loads.
Yeah.
That's moving a lot of freight. So my first question for you is one of the hardest parts when you're prospecting or trying to acquire new businesses is how you approach a customer, and that's a question I get from drivers a lot of the time is do I call them, do I email them, do I go on site and try to visit them on site? Kind of in your opinion, what's the best way to go about that?
Certainly. I think that's something that's pretty common among a lot of salespeople is trying to figure out the best way to approach these prospects. Same will apply for carriers. For me personally, I've always had better luck starting out with a phone call. You got to keep in mind that these shippers, these logistics managers, they're busy people. They don't have a lot of time in the day to sit there and have all these conversations. If you can catch them through a phone call, great. If not, I'll send an email, and you can obtain that numerous ways. And then once you have a little bit of conversation with them, a little rapport, going out to lunch, maybe dinner, is a great thing. And it doesn't cost you a lot of money, but you get these guys out of their element. You can learn a little more about them, and it's just easier to develop a relationship, especially outside of the work setting.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Building relationships with your customers has got to be at the forefront of everything you do.
Yes, sir.
So another question we get a lot of the time is how many times should I reach out to a customer? I've called them once or twice. I stopped by there, no one answered. Do I just go on to the next one and say, hey, forget it? Or, what's the best number of touches, I guess you should say, because I don't want to be annoying either. I don't want to drive them away.
Yeah,
So.
that's a tricky one. The best piece of advice that I could give to folks out there trying to obtain shippers is just to be persistent. Don't overdo it. Personally, again, from my experience, about one phone call and one email a week until you can get in conversation with somebody is a good number. Because like you said, if you're annoying, they're just going to ignore you.
Absolutely. It's kind of like dealing with a used car salesman. If you do too much, you're just ready for him to go away.
Yes,
So
yeah.
Another question, let me ask you this about this. So how often do they land on the first time? Is it, or does it take 5, 6, 7, 10 times?
How many times do you win the lottery in your life? No, in all seriousness, it's very rare. If you time somebody just right to where they're having an issue, or maybe somebody just burnt them and didn't pick up a shipment on time or deliver on time, you might luck into a first contact shipment, but most of the time it's going to take you several months to get your foot in the door.
Okay. With that being said, so you've reached out to him multiple times there and everything. Let's say you do get through to him. How often do you just get a no or go away or just get turned down? What's the norm on that?
A lot more than you're going to get yeses. I get turned down daily, and I remember earlier in my career, it's easy to take it personal, but it's not. It's nothing personal. They don't have anything against you. They just get solicited by 100 people every day. So the best advice I can give to a carrier or whoever it is reaching out to a prospect is just to stay positive. Because you're going to get turned down.
Yeah, I was speaking with a shipping manager one time, and he said, especially when the market's kind of soft like it is right now, he gets anywhere between 10 and 20 phone calls a day and upwards of 50 to 100 emails per day. So
yeah.
Somehow you just have to find a way to differentiate yourself. So.
Certainly.
Okay, another question we get, and just so you know, and everyone out there knows, the questions that we're asking here today is ones that we are getting from small carriers and owner-operators. These are the ones that we get asked repeatedly. If you have any other questions, send us an email, contact us, let us know. We'll be doing some follow-up videos on this as well. So if we've missed something today, let us know, hit us up, we'll get to it. When you're teaching sales to whoever, what's some of the things you tell them? Steer clear of doing this.
It's a great question because there's a lot of things that you can do to hurt the sales process, trying to get in with a new customer. One of the biggest pieces of advice I would give, and I've learned this the hard way too, don't ever back solicit a broker and don't back solicit a previous company that you hauled for. Because I say that because most of these people appreciate loyalty, they appreciate transparency, and if you start your relationship off by saying, hey, I've hauled for this carrier, or I used to work for this company and I can do it cheaper for you, then I mean it doesn't really look good on your part from a character standpoint. Secondly, and it's to that same point, don't just sell price. Don't go into a customer saying, oh, I can be cheaper on the price, I promise I can. Sell your service, especially the smaller, medium-sized carriers and the one-man operations even. You're going to be able to sell a better level of service than the large companies. You're going to have that one-on-one relationship with these shipping managers. So go in, sell service. Don't just sell price.
Absolutely. Because a lot of times, and let's just be honest, these large carriers can operate at a lower cost than what your individual owner-operator can, or small carriers. And so, and to some manufacturers, some shippers, price is everything. But to a lot of others, and I've said in multiple conversations with these customers, with you sometimes, and they say, hey, price is important, but knowing our product's going to get there on time is a huge part of it as well, and also knowing that it's going to be taken care of during the process. So absolutely, I think the back soliciting part is a big one. There is brokers out there that if you do back solicit them, they will sue you. They will, go after you. So be mindful of that. And when we say don't back solicit, something to keep in mind is read your contract with those brokers and stuff. Most of them have a 1 year non-back solicitation. So it's not like, oh, I hauled for them 7 years ago, so I can't ever talk to this customer. And the main thing is it's just that short time frame there.
Another good thing, just to that point, is there's other ways to be creative in word. And speaking more of sort of the owner-operators and small carriers, you might be able to go into these shippers and say, hey, I've hauled this lane for you in the past. Is this something you still move? Don't mention a broker. Don't mention your past carrier. Just be vague and say, I've done it before. Are you still moving it? If so, I would like the opportunity to run it again.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is in this industry, there is so much freight out there. There's so many lanes. There's something for everyone. And maybe you don't get exactly what you wanted out the gate, and that happens with us all the time.
Oh yeah.
When I would say probably half or more of our interactions with our customers is we start off on their less desirable lanes or on some of their cheaper lanes. They just give us a trial, and that's just part of the process of getting in with the customer. Especially those medium to large customers, if it's a good lane, chances are they have a carrier or a broker that's been doing it for years. So the probability of getting in on that right away is very slim. It does happen, but it is slim. So go in there with an open mind, knowing I'm not going to get to cherry pick their freight, but I will have the opportunity as I build this relationship with this customer to get in on some of the better stuff. So we had a couple of drivers reach out to us and say, hey, I heard from a customer. They said, yes, they'd be interested in doing business with me, but it's been a couple of weeks and they've kind of ghosted me, or the communication is very sparse. Do you have some insight on what might be going on there?
Certainly, yeah. The setup process for every customer is going to be different. Just a golden rule of thumb maybe to keep to heart is going to be the larger the company, the longer the setup process is going to be. So my advice, especially to a lot of the owner-operators out there and smaller carriers, you're going to be better off targeting smaller customers. And the only reason being is not because they don't have as much freight or anything like that, but the setup process is going to be faster. Because you've got to think at these larger companies, these shipping managers can't just sign the document. They're going to have to send it to their legal department, and it's going to have to go through 10 different channels before it actually gets approved. So the larger the company, definitely the longer the setup process is going to be.
Yeah, we had one a few months ago that you saying that reminded me of. We got our first yes in late September, early October. We didn't haul our first freight until end of February, and so that's just part of the process. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes it takes months. So just keep that in mind. I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this video. Stay tuned. On next week we'll be releasing the second half of this. So check out that video. Be safe, be good, and we'll see you next week.